Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Divine Eye Racing series, where Division 1 is kicking off round 2 of Season 2 here at Monza. My name is Olaf, aka Wops Racing, and I'll be your commentator for tonight, just like any other night. Today, the drivers have 27 laps in front of them to drive at the Monza circuit, but first we have a short qualifying of 18 minutes in this fantastic place that we call the Temple of Speed. Now, next week, we have a more interesting race on our hands because it will be a sprint race followed by a feature race, which is going to shake up the entire standings of the race. But for now, first focus on round 2. All drivers still waiting to go out of the pits. Unsure why that is. Here we go. First driver out of the pits right now. We can see it up front. Should be a Williams. Will that be Tronzig? Will that be Swanee? It definitely is Tronzig, currently out of the pits, first on track, followed by one of the Alpha Tauris. Going to set a lap, and that is Jan. So last week, the broadcast had some issues. My game crashed, which means I got locked out of the lobby, which means I could not get back in. There's no way for me to go back and watch the drivers go in circles on the track. So I have the standings for you in case you missed it for last week. Arkid won the race in the Alpine, followed by Paddy, Smith, Yuri, Tronzik, Mrios, Tuchki, Swanee, Sparrow, and I hope I'm gonna pronounce this right, Kanya in P10. Then Robinho 11th, Mihu 12th, Divine Eye 13th, Waza 14th, Jaspers 15th, Shermanator 16th, and Scottish, Jan, F1 Dino, and Nay Smith all the way down in 20th. These final 5 drivers did DNF in the race, so that means that they did not complete the full race. So the standings for now, for the driver standings, of course, the same order that we saw before, with Arkid also grabbing the fastest lap of the race. As for the constructor standings, we have Williams up front, leading by 3 points from Mercedes, who currently have 35 points. Alpine 32 right behind that as well, with 1 win in their pocket. Then we have a tie with 24 points. Ferrari and McLaren in 4th position, and way down at the bottom we see Red Bull in 10th place with 7 points. For now, eyes up to round 2, because there's 12 rounds in the season, only 1 has been driven. Jan out here, the first driver to set a lap on the track for this qualifying, to set the pace, set the bar, and see if we get a good time on the board. Currently going through the Ascari chicane, a little bit wide there. A bit squirrely as well on the end, a little bit unstable. Drivers here will be running very low downforce, and he actually invalidated his lap, which means that he will not have a valid lap time. Down to Tronzik, looks a lot smoother down here, might have a bit more downforce, because that Williams is naturally very, very straight, very narrow, very fast on the straight line. I just forgot that it's a realistic performance league, so we don't even have that. So Tronzik rounding the final corner, still being the first driver to set a timed lap, valid lap, and it's going to be a 119.2. Tronzik driving very well last week, which means that this should be a pretty representative lap. For now, he's the first driver to set the time, the only driver to set the time and hit the benchmark. Sparrow follows with a 27.0, Jasper's a 30.4. So both of them might have made mistakes at the end or just not get the room, as it's now getting very crowded there. Jasper's being blocked here by an Alpine into turn 1. So this is all the traffic that happens when drivers go out of the pits. They can maybe do some mistakes there, as Smith retires from the session in the pits, will not set a qualifying lap, as Yuri takes provisional pole with a 1 minute 19.034, grabbing it by 2.5 tenths. Lots of drivers now setting times as well. Scottish joining right behind that by 2 tenths. jumping just in front of Tronzig by only 6 milliseconds. Very, very close margins up here in front. Meanwhile, the Aston Martins have both also set times, and Tronzig's teammate Swanee is only a second behind him. So that is going to be a very tight battle there for Williams. So they are currently holding the lead in the Constructors' Championship. Scottish looks to be cutting a chicane there. Which will be very interesting to look back on. Dutchke currently rounding the final corner. Divine, I put in a 122.9, which looks to be a fluke. And with some small mistakes, maybe it needs to go again. Dutchke a 1 minute 20.4. Divine Eye now finishing it up with a 20.7. So only 3/10 separating these two. Currently, we have Shermanator on the lap as well. Currently starting out on his first lap. Going to quickly check the tire compound. And we see that Tintenfish in 8th place is running the medium tires with a 1 minute 20.2. So that means there's a few tenths still left just on compound. Which means he might be able to jump up to 6th or maybe even 5th place by just changing their tires and going for that soft compound. But there's still lots of room to change something on the car. 11.5 minutes to go. Shermanator getting that cheeky slipstream there from Paddy down into the Ascari chicane. Looks very planted through these corners. It doesn't look like he's losing any grip at all when he took those left-right lefts. Straightening out on the end now, going off the track and invalidating. Is that not an invalidation? It was not. It looked like he went way over the edge there. It still puts in a 1 minute 19.9 and got it in 7th place. The driver's already complaining about the lack of room, about the amount of drivers that don't leave space. Jan currently recovering after that invalidation. Going for his first time lap. Let's see where he gets it. Jumps all the way to P5 with a 1 minute 19.538. So lots of drama already unfolding, as there's multiple drivers accusing other drivers for blocking and impeding, which the stewards will have a look at after the race. And maybe even hand out some time penalties from qualifying, which we haven't seen before, I think. That they gave out penalties after the race for qualifying. We see that the lap set by Scottish, I believe what I'm showing right now is the tire. And this is on the best lap. So that means that Scottish is currently going for the mediums. Or he went out for the mediums. As Marios is going out on the softs. Tintenfish looks to hold the softs in hand for his next run. We'll be looking for that as well. Looking for the improvement. Remix now currently also on an out lap right in front of us. Currently going into the Lesmo, so we'll be with him on board for his lap as well. Marios currently 19th, needs to set the lap time. We've seen incredible things from him before, so hopefully we'll be able to see it again. Lots of yellows in the final sector as drivers are lining up to go for a lap. Tronzig there as well, and that looks to be one of the Alfa Romeos as well at the end. That's Sparrow or that's Jaspers. That is Jaspers, who invalidated his lap and is now going back into the pits. So it's currently over a second behind the pack, behind the rest of the field, in 16th place. Needs an improvement and needs it badly. Marios currently 19th. Hasn't set a lap yet. Needs to have a good timed one. Around the final corner, over the line. Where can he put it? Can he put it up front? P7. Just underneath the 1 minute 20. And 1 minute 19.968 right in front of Naismith. We see Sparrow here Rounding the final corner, improving his lap as well. Going for a 1 minute 21.1. Jumping his teammate. Pushing him down to 18th place. Sparrow now 17th. The Alfa Romeo drivers are setting up for the back of the grid. Besides Smith, of course, whose car, the AlphaTauri, will be placed way at the back as he retired even before setting a lap time. For now, eyes on Remix as he goes for this lap. We've seen incredible performance from him last week in Austin and also in Abu Dhabi on the final race of Season 1. He's done some great qualifying performance, some great race performance as well. So hopefully, see some good things going there. Tronzek now crossing the line as well, putting it in P2, splitting the Haas drivers up front. Making sure they don't get a 1-2 for now. Remix crossing the line. Where does he put it? Beating Rios out by just a tenth, just under a tenth. 99 milliseconds in front of the McLaren car. Putting it in P7. It's a Remix. A very good lap from him. We see Scottish going over the line here as well. Not improving. He's on the medium tire currently. So it looks like he might just see what the pace difference is between these tires. Because Tintenfish has set their fastest lap on the medium compound. Is now out on the softs. Improved by a little bit, but invalidated the lap. So we'll be backing out, giving room to the drivers behind. There's the AlphaTauri coming through. And here we have him getting ready for his next lap. Paddy jumping up to 5th. Improving by half a second, over half a second. And putting it on P5. Tintenfish now getting ready, slowing down so Jaspers can go in front. Getting a good entry, nice and slow, steady through it. A great exit. We're going to be following Tintenfish right now to watch the pace between the soft and the medium compound. Fastest time, the delta will be what it will be compared to, is set on the mediums. Tintenfish out on the softs now into turn 1. Very tight corner combination here. Don't go too wide or hit the grass. You lose a lot of time on exit. Which means all this straight here, practically straight, all flat out, will lose you time. Deep braking zone here into the second chicane, which obviously will host a plethora of overtakes, hopefully. We're going to be going into Lesmos, where sends can happen into Lesmos too, but are very uncommon. Onto the back DRS straight here, going towards the tunnel, looking towards Ascari. There might be a faint DRS slipstream from Jaspers. Currently, Swanee has received a 5th place grid penalty for a collision with Touchkey. Not sure where that happened, as Tintenfish has been losing time now. Not sure if that has anything to do with the tires. We see Divine Eye here going very slowly. Dongana here as well. So Tintenfish not improving, going into the pits. Probably putting on a new set of tires as well. So we see Dongana still going very, very slowly. Only 4 minutes remaining in this session, so he has some time to get something done, but he'll need to make it quick. Divine Eye also going very slowly here on the back. Maybe cooling down the engine. They're trying not to waste any tires. As Spongy goes out for another out lap, see if he can do anything to get further up on the top. So just got confirmation that Tutski and Swanee both have received a 5-place grid penalty for an incident that happened on their exploration laps, on their out laps. As Spongy is now setting up for a lap, we're going to move to Tonginha first, who is 3/10 up on his fastest time. That would put him 1 position up, close to 2, but Tintenfish still has some time in his back pocket with that soft compound that he can switch to from the mediums to gain just a tiny little bit of time. Yuri and Scottish also out to defend their honor. Tonga now across the line, improves by 4/10 and jumps to 15th position, right behind the Ferrari of Divine Eye. Spongy now into Lesmos, but already 6 seconds behind from what it looks like on the Delta. Which means he probably will not be improving anytime soon. And he'll have to do another lap. Meanwhile, Yuri preparing, Scottish preparing. On to the start, finish straight, crossing the line now. Going to start his flying lap, seeing if he can beat his teammate up front and get that pole position secured for himself. No blocking today on this lap for Scottish. Looking to get a clean exit there, barely hitting the grass, but still keeping all of that speed there. Very great turn there. Into the second chicane. Hitting that sausage curb, but looks like he's running a very soft setup as his car did not move almost an inch. The car just bounced right up, which is very useful for these types of corners. It's a very slightly bumpy track if you look at all the chicanes that they're taking. Like Lesmos, like the first and second chicane, and like Ascari as well, the chicane. Yeah, Scottish just a tiny bit slower compared to his fastest lap, but still has some time to make up for it. Can he do a Verstappen Monaco Sector 3, getting that cheeky little slipstream from the Aston Martin there of Tintenfish, who is also looking to go for a lap. Scott is going very wide, and that again looked like an invalidation, looked like track limits, but ended up not being anything at all, as he lost some time there. Just got out of the way right at the end there. Tintenfish, a lot of trust there between those two drivers to make a move like that happen. Giving that tiny bit of slipstream, we'll be hopping on board with him as Yuri crosses the finish line. Looks like there's some purple sector set there as Swanee takes that apologies, that was a yawn. Swanee takes that ending of the session, and he will not be able to improve his lap at all anymore. Same goes for Arcade, Paddy, and Spongy, Marios, Mihu, and Jaspars. Yuri now coming across the line and beating it his own time by 4/10. An insane run there, giving him so much speed, so much time. What a run there. Great qualifying lap. Really sets the precedent there as Tintenfish was 4/10 up but goes wide on Ascari. That would have definitely been the top 10. But unfortunately, he went wide, and let's see how much time he can still recover from this. Tires will be sleepy, will be used, will be dirty, and he jumps up to P5. He still recovers so much time in the end there, and puts it on the third row. Tronzik in second place, splitting the Haas drivers, and Yuri being the driver on pole for today's race. Divine Eye, the final driver to need to cross the line. Currently up by about 20 seconds. That's never going to make it to the end. Not going to improve. Yuri showing an incredible lap by gapping P2 with half a second. An insane lap that we got to witness here today. And hopefully he can match this performance for the race as well. For now, your qualifying results and your grid order for the Monza race for round 2. We have Yuri on pole position, Tronzik 2nd place, Scottish in 3rd, Arcade 4th, Tintafish in 5th. Tutchki will get a 5 place grid penalty, putting him to 11th place. Paddy in 7th, Spongy 8th, Jan 9th, Swanee 10th, which will become 15th, which will put Tutchki back in 10th, I believe. That is how it goes. Remix in 11th, Shermanator 12th, Marios 13th, and Naismith, Divine Eye, Tongana, Mihu, Jaspar Sparrow, and Smith not setting a lap time. The entire field almost within 2.5 seconds, and that incredible 4 3/4 tenth gap from Yuri up front. An insane lap time there that we got to witness. For now, a short little break as the drivers get ready for their race. So grab something to drink, because we have 1 minute left until the lights start going out. We should be getting really close to the start of the formation lap now. So the drivers are finishing up their setups, maybe making some small adjustments on the wings, on the differential, and on the brake bias. That's the only things they're actually allowed to change in between qualifying and the race. Maybe changing the fuel load, seeing how much they can run, how much they need, and getting all of their toilet breaks done before this. Because I believe last week we had a small issue with the driver going into AI, into the pause menu, to go to the toilet right before the end of the race. Which obviously meant that that's not allowed. You're not allowed to go into the pause menu, not allowed to use the AI under any circumstances. So that had to be reviewed by the stewards. Currently got the go-ahead from the stewards to go on to the formation lap. And here we go. Yuri up front. Tronzik in 2nd. Scottish in 3rd. Obviously going to see lots of battling happening between these three. Green flags are out. We are on for the formation lap. Looking at the tire compound, almost the entire grid is on mediums. We see Remix and Divine Eye gone soft, and Touchkey and Tintenfish gone hard. So Divine Eye and Touchkey actually going opposite strategies, with Divine Eye taking the soft tire and Touchkey getting the hard tire, which shows that Divine Eye will be all attack early on, and Touchkey will be durability for the first stint of the race. Maybe they're trying to see if there's going to be a safety car and time that perfectly for at least one of the two drivers, because they need the edge on McLaren in the championship. Currently Marios in 12th and Mihu in 17th. So they're up a few positions and also up a few points for the ending of this race. Currently, without a lap time set in qualifying, is Smith. Did not even try to set one as he retired in the pits, which means that we still have some question marks above his head to see where he will be ending up. Here we have the possible race strategy: softs to mediums, mediums to hards, which obviously can always be reversed from medium to soft and hards to mediums. But if you're running hards to mediums, I don't think soft to mediums is going to last. Might see a soft to hard go in there as well. As Monza, it may be the temple of speed, but you still have a ton of tire wear because you're running lower wing. Scottish, maybe the connection there cut out for a second. It looked like he was going into the wall. The amount of grip you need from the tires, from the mechanical grip, is insane compared to a track like Abu Dhabi, where you're running a bit higher wings, for example, or Suzuka, where you're running extremely high wings to go through the S's. Monza is basically a zero wing configuration, where you're running the lowest wing possible. Yuri now being reset onto the grid for doing a tiny bit of an illegal maneuver and parking over the line. Looks like he's going to be put back just a tiny bit, but still on pole position, of course. Smith now lining up as the final car on the grid, as we're going to be looking at lights out from the top three. Here we have them: Yuri, Tronzik, and Scottish. Ready now to line up for the lights. Let's see if we can check on them. 1 on, 2 on, 3 on, 4 and 5. And we're away for the Monza GP. You're getting a good start from that. Scottish as well. Tronzik getting blocked off on the inside, but we see some scurrying in the middle of the field there, as Yuri takes first place onto that. Scottish on the inside, looking for the attack, but not getting past anything. Arkit up to 4th position. Tintenfish still in 5th. Spongy right behind that as well. A clean start for almost everyone. It looks like Swanee is now left behind to go all the way down. Remix now making a move happen there and passing some cars, getting a little bit difficult ahead as Paddy loses some positions there, dropping back to 8th place. Now his own teammate behind him looking for a dive up the inside, doesn't quite cut it. Jaspar's now getting a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting already. And overall, it was a pretty clean start, as Remix is looking to dive it up the inside into Ascari on the first lap. There he goes on the inside with the softer compound, running Paddy wide, losing in some time and leaving him vulnerable from the AlphaTauri right behind. Jan is looking to get into that slipstream as well. No DRS yet, so he'll have to do it on purely on pace. Same tire as well. Smith also gaining a position, but Remix obviously wanting to push through. Dutchke losing a position as well. Divine Eye losing some as well. So that's not very good for the Ferrari team. We see Naismith going very, very slowly down into the tunnel. Yuri now still in first, trying to create that gap. Tronzik looking to chase and not running any risk of losing that to 3rd place. Tongana up to 11th. See behind Remix attacking and even defending from Smith, who came all the way from last place and is now in 13th position. A very great start from the AlphaTauri driver. Should be getting some really good points on the board there together with Jan, but still a long race, only lap 2, so no use in talking about points just yet. Divine Eye dropping all the way back to last place. Did he grab a pit stop there? Because I believe he started on the hards. And yes, he did. He pitted for the mediums very early on. So might have had some damage there that he needed to repair. DRS will be enabled on lap 3, which will be starting right now. DRS should be enabled not on this straight, but should be on the final one. Actually, I'm not sure if that is from the starting line or if it's from the detection point. It is from the detection point, looking at the rear wing from Tronzik, as he's looking to go on the attacks. Yuri defending on the inside, but not far enough to do anything just yet. Tinterfish spinning out as he has contact with his teammate. Sir Spongy going through, but Tinterfish dropping back so many positions, currently in 12th place as he rejoins and loses from 6th to 12th. That's 6 positions down from that small single incident. Now there's a huge gap formed between Arcade and Shermanator. Total 2 seconds between the two Alpine cars. So the top 4 is running away with it, especially with that DRS train that they formed now. Jan looking to go on the attack, but has Paddy right behind him to show him the moves. Losing a bit of time there in the Lesmos, and it looks like Tongana also had a difficult moment there. Stuchki will be looking for something in the next few laps. No DRS on the back straight here that they're approaching. So the top 4 will try that on the start-finish straight. Only the slipstream is used here on the back. Going into the final corner, Yuri now exiting it. He's got Tronzik right behind him, but Scottish behind that. Very, very close. Wings there open on Tronzik and Scottish. Tronzik now into the slipstream. Yuri knows there's nothing he can do, but still goes defensive, and he does that very, very well. Very close racing. Tronzik getting the room on the inside, leaving just enough room on the outside, but there is Scottish going through. 3 wide into turn 3. Onto the 3rd corner here. Curva Grande. Scottish getting that first position, but they're still side by side. Yuri and Scottish. Yuri still gaining out and winning back that first position. So net worth, Scottish +1, Tronzik -1. A great move there by Scottish, which could have been a lead of the race. But surely Yuri holds on to that miraculously with that 3 wide, being all the way up the inside of Curva Grande, having of course the shortest length of track to go through. Smith all the way up into 9th now after taking that position from Tongana. Tuchki back up to 11th, now 10th, as he's passing Tongana with that DRS. Cutting in cleanly into Ascari. So we'll be diverting our eyes back to the front once again once they're on the back straight. Because of course, Scottish is so close to his teammate. And no one wants to see a Mercedes 2016 Barcelona happen. Scottish with the DRS should be able to do something. Yuri not going defensive, knows that he has some room. Yuri sticking behind, taking the better line though, so maybe following through a bit. See a pit stop from Jan coming through. The AlphaTauri driver now changing tires very early on in the race, mirroring what Divine Eye did, and we might even see a little battle come up between those as well. Exiting the pits now, Remix coming up, Naismith coming up now, and then Divine Eye rounding the final corner. So that means that Jan will be right ahead of Naismith. Scottish now has to defend, has the lead taken from his teammate that started on pole position. Now, who now has to defend from Tronzik, who's looking to make a great attack here. Started in P4, now currently P3 on that podium. Or started P2. I mean, I forgot all about that. Tronzik P2. I was looking at Arcade, who's P4, who is currently really close on this battle. Yuri now looking to gain the lead of the race back as Naismith looks to have spun after Lesmo 1. And these Haas drivers are looking to box in the Williams of Tronzik. Tronzik looking for a dive up on the inside. Does it. Stays next to it. As Scottish has to defend now on the inside of turn 2. But Tronzik's got the outside. A lot of grip there. And gains second position back from Scottish. And now has to defend from the Haas, who also has the Alpine behind him. And maybe looking for a send there. Going to be looking for that. Not yet. We'll have to wait a little bit before that happens. Now a good battle going on here for 9th and 10th places. Arcade just gains time on Scottish on the exit and just gains the position. Scottish now dropped back to 4th position. Naismith getting a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as he also goes in for an early pit and retires in his garage. Unfortunately, but the top 4 is now spreading the field. They're gaining, or they're leading. They're leaving Sir Spongy right in the dust, who took P5 off Shermanator a few laps ago. This gap just keeps on increasing. As Tongana now also retires from the session. Shermanator wanting to gain that position back. But if we look up front, we have a more interesting battle going on. Tronzik not close enough to make a move. Arkit not either. Touchkey will be. Is past Paddy. Shermanator looking for a move. Sir Sponge going defensive. Shermanator touching the grass there. Not far enough alongside to do anything. Smith taking that position there from Paddy. But Paddy fighting very, very hard. Some contact between these two drivers. And Paddy keeping that position. But is on the outside now. Also attacked by Tintinfish, who's now up in 9th position. And Paddy losing out. Tintinfish getting 8th position even. After winning out on the traction battle with Smith. So a lot of stuff going on now. With Touchkey being all the way up into 7th. Smith into 9th. Paddy 10th. Marios and Mihu still holding 11th and 12th respectively. Tronzik looking for an attack on any way he can. Because he knows he's got Arkid behind him. Scottish leaving behind a little bit. Trailing it. Might drop down behind that second anytime now. There he is. As long as he's within a second of the detection point, which he will be right now. And so he still will get the DRS to gain on these 3 guys up front. Yuri, Tronzik, Arkid. Currently your top 3. Yuri has to defend now. Doesn't know if he can do that. Going defensive. Tronzik going through cleanly. No use from the defense. The Williams is in the lead now. For the first time today in the race. Maybe he got it for a short time before Scottish went through with that insane move on the inside. Smith barely making it work, but he made it work. That's all that matters. Marios and Mihu now following each other down into turn 3. You see Tintinfish here looking for a fight. Doesn't quite get close enough to Smith. A little bit squirrely in the exit. Opening the door for Paddy, who is now very, very close. Might send it into Lesmos too. Or wait for the DRS. Is he looking? He is not yet. He's just following behind. Looking for an opportunity later on. We see the drivers approaching Ascari now. With the DRS open, don't think there's going to be an overtake here. As they're just a little bit too far away. But Tintinfish 100% looking for a move. Right around the exit here. Currently, Arkid took P2 off of Yuri. Yuri made a mistake, it looks like, as he drops down to P4. Scott's going through as well. Does have the DRS. Tronzik is in the lead. Yuri taking the position back from his teammate. But Arkid also looking to take the lead off of Tronzik. Going up on the inside into turn 1. Tronzik still next to the Alpine. Has the inside line, but Arkid's got much better traction out there on the end as he claims the race lead for his first time today, coming from P4. So Alpine getting a strong showing here. Might just take the lead off of this as Swanee is currently P13. Jaspar's now in the pit. Spongy retiring from the race in the pits. Had a very good race, but Touchkey will say thank you so much and get 6th position of that. And very, very important points for the team, as Yuri gets a 3-second time penalty, which will be very, very bad for him at the end of the race. Currently a 3rd in and still all to play for, but those 3 seconds will really, really hurt him towards the end of the race. Tronzik now very, very close to getting the lead of the race back from Arkid in the Alpine, but Yuri also really close to this battle. Arkid going defensive even into the final turn. Knows that he has to do it. And there's Yuri off of the track into the wall. Might have light damage just in time to go to the pits if needed. As Sparrow gets a penalty for corner cutting as well. Yuri shaking it off and still continuing. Luckily not a DNF. As Arkid loses 2nd position to Tronzik. As Smith gains a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Which is of course a horrible thing to happen for him. He's such a good recovery drive from that qualifying where he didn't take part. And now has to sit an extra 5 seconds into the pits the next time he does enter the pits. Arkid defending from for his life. Scottish overshooting the corner. Might have had some arrow wash. Or just some overspeed that he did not take into account. And loses out on the top 2 battle. Does not have DRS anymore. The only one that does right now in the top 5 is Arkid. Gaining, gaining, gaining. Will it be enough? Will he be looking? Tronzik going defensive. Arkid on the outside is passed completely before they reach Ascari. And Arkid reclaims the lead back again. But look at that. This little move has allowed Scottish to get back into the DRS. So the top 3 will be a train once more. Touchkey very close to Shermanator now. Might even make the move happen on Slipstream alone on the final straight here. Shermanator going defensive. Touchkey not going for the move after all. Just going towards the outside of the track here. Getting a great exit. Will have the DRS to get that position, as Shermanator is too far away to do anything about that. And Touchkey will jump up into 5th position. So after that 5 place grid penalty from the collision with Swanee in the Williams, Touchkey has jumped back up into 5th place. As Arkid is still heavily defending from Tronzik, who's looking to claim the lead. Back for Williams. Grabbing them off the final place of the standings. If I say that correctly, I completely forgot what the standings were. Let me just go look that up real quick. Actually, they're in 1st. Red Bull was in last. All those blue cars really messed me up there. Red Bull will, of course, not get any points today either, as Tongana and Naismith both DNF'd. Arkid getting a difficult exit there. Shermanator 3-second time penalty. Arkid still claiming, keeping in the lead. But might have to sacrifice a little bit on the exit here. Tronzik following through as well. With Scottish right behind. This top 3 battle is continuing and continuing. And it will never end. Tronzik looking on the attack. Arkid not going defensive. That's his first mistake of today. Sticking it in the inside, but doesn't have enough speed. Tronzik very well outbrake there into turn 1. Arkid now has to look behind as well and defend as Shermanator goes into the pits and get a tire replacement. Look at the tire life on these cars. We see some medium runners already into the pits. And some medium runners at the front still running what they had. Jasper's not getting a 3-second time penalty. Putting that up to 6 seconds added towards the end of the race. Tronzik looks to be a little bit clear now. But Arkid and Scottish both have DRS to catch up. And look to do something on the next straight. Arkid very close now to the Williams ahead. Sacrifices a little bit of speed in Ascari. These drivers all on the medium tires up front. Yuri not getting anywhere close, as there's still a 3-second gap between him and Scottish. But luckily he has a 3-second gap behind as well to Touchkey, meaning that he can get a little bit cleaner air and also safer runs there. Arkid jumping into the pits, the first of the front runners to go in. Does not get chased by anyone, so maybe undercutting these drivers. The undercut can be very, very strong if he goes on to clean tires. Maybe even extending the lead there. He doesn't need to undercut as he was in the lead of the race, but he's afraid of getting undercut. Most likely will be exiting in clean air here in 9th place, which means that he can do whatever he wants. He does not need to defend from anyone, while Tronzik does. Scottish right behind him now into Lesmos. DRS detection point coming up. Scottish looking to make the move happen before Ascari. But I don't think he'll have enough top speed to do that today. I'll have to wait for now, as Batty gets a 3-second time penalty as well in 6th position. Everyone's collecting these penalties like crazy. Track limits really, really racking up here. Scottish now in the DRS of Tronzik. Does he make the move? He's looking for it ever so slightly. And then he jumps back into the slipstream around the final corner. Small bit of aero wash, but a lot of time gained there. Very close. Now jumping into the pits as the second one of the front runners. Let's see where he ends up as Arkid jumps through. Now Tronzik all clear of any cars behind Arkid, going through the final section now. Hitting the final corner. And let's see where Scottish ends up. Arkid now going out. Scottish out of the pits, but Arkid will be passing him and has undercut the Haas driver by a fair bit. You see the angry wiggling there from Scottish. I think that's about 2 seconds there that he lost on the undercut. Might be in a call with Yuri, saying right now, Yuri, you have to pit right now. Otherwise, you'll lose a lot more time there. Lots of shuffling happening because of the pit stops. And here you see drivers that still need to pit. It is only the top 4. Tronzik, Yuri, Tintovic, and Mihu. The rest has already stopped in this race. Which means that from P5, you're currently looking at the net standings with Tronzik, Yuri, Tintovic, and Mihu. Putting somewhere into that as well after that pits. Let's look at Tronzik, see if he's run out of mediums. We see that all these drivers are going to the hard tires. Scottish on the hard tires, Arkid on the hard tires, and Tronzik will just go for another lap. Yuri as well. Yuri does not think that Arkid is the problem here. He might just extend the medium set so far that he can run on the softs later on. But we saw so many medium runners already going into the pits as Yuri has a massive slide there. Luckily catches it. That shows the wear of these tires as Mihu goes into the pits, but gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding, which will definitely hurt McLaren's chances here of outscoring Ferrari in this race. As we see Tutschke going up and now currently in 8th place. We see Shermanator making a move on Smith. Smith going with a lot of speed through turn 1 and turn 2 as Shermanator gets a tiny tap, loses the position, loses out in the battle, and loses 7th place to Tutschke. It was an amazing recovery drive so far. Arkid currently 4th position, only 19 seconds behind Tronzik, which is a lot less than the time you lose with a single pit stop. So I believe that Arkid will now gain the lead pretty severely. And Scottish might even take P2 off of Tronzik's hands right here as well. Tronzik going into the pits now. Yuri must be doing the same. Yes, he does. Tintenfish, the only driver then who still has to pit. Will he be looking to get into that as well? He does not. He's on the hard tires as he started on the hard tires, it seemed. Because he hasn't stopped yet. He did indeed start on the hard tires. So that means that's an overcut there. As Arkid is currently on the straight and past Tronzik. Scottish going past now as well. That's a huge undercut there from the Haas drivers. Tronzik currently exiting the line with Yuri right behind him. And Scottish gaining 2 seconds there. Even more, almost 3 seconds. Because he was behind the Williams earlier before all of the pits. So Tronzik losing out massively there. And Scottish getting a good run there. But as you can see, Tronzik is on the soft tires as well as Yuri, while Arkid and Scottish are on the hard. So on track position, yes, they gained. But in net time towards the end, it all depends if these soft tires last towards the end of the race or not. Because they might just drop down in performance on the final few laps, which is going to make them a sitting duck for these drivers, especially on the long straights that we have on this track. Naismith currently leaving the session. He has been DNF'd for quite a while, so that is not a worry at all. Shermanator looking to regain some of those positions as Tutschke gains 6th place off of Smith. Shermanator looking to get that P7 back and get into that battle again with Tutschke. But gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, which ruins his chances of getting anywhere at this point. Miu now overtaking Sparrow. Sparrow still on the inside with that medium tire. Miu needs to make space. Sparrow backing out, almost crashing out. Murios, and Murios does go off and hits the wall there. As we see Swanee going past as well, almost getting caught up in that collision. And that is a huge moment there from Rios. Losing so many positions and a lot of time as well. Actually, I believe there was only 1 or 2 positions that he lost. But that braking there from Sparrow, backing out of the fight, did cause him to lose something. We look up front there. We see Swanee going very slowly. Marios passed and they both go into the pits. Tintenfish currently leading by only 8.5 seconds. Remember, Tintenfish still has to pit. And Arkid has already pitted. So this seemingly large gap is actually a gap way further back. As Tintenfish will drop down the order. Tronzik currently gaining a lot of time on Scottish as well. With those soft tires, you can see that. They're clean softs, very new. Same goes for Yuri, who's also looking to gain some time. Has that 3-second time penalty, so that's a big disadvantage. Paddy here, very good exit. Looking to do something to Smith, who has a 5-second time penalty. As Yuri gets another 3-second time penalty for crossing some lines. Does get the fastest lap of the race. Unsure why that's still allowed, as it was an invalid lap. Tintenfish finally going into the pits. That's why he was losing so many positions here. Paddy gaining a position, but Smith gaining it back here. Smith backing out at the end for the DRS. Might have been some DRS mind games there, as he braked or he let go before the final corner, before the DRS detection point. And then got the position back here. Paddy looking to make a move, but backs out of it in the final second. Got Smith on the back foot, though, on the exit out of the chicane, but nothing's happening thus far. But look up front, in the top 3, Tronzik now half a second behind Scottish, gained a lot of time. Yuri gaining even more time and does need that time so badly because of all these penalties that he's been collecting throughout the race. Paddy now passing Smith as well. Finally, into the Ascari chicane. Both of these drivers have a penalty. Smith, I was going to say both have a 3-second time penalty, but Smith actually has a 5-second time penalty, which puts him at a disadvantage here. Tronzik now very close. Yuri also within the DRS. The hard tire of Scottish definitely does not stand a chance against the attack of Tronzik here. Completely passed before turn 1 with that DRS. And Yuri looking to join this fight too with his teammate. But remember, these soft tires were put on 3 laps ago and might not make it towards the end of the race. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Paddy getting really close to Smith again. Both drivers on the hard tires, so no tire difference between these two. It's just up front. Scottish getting really close here to Tronzik. As Yuri's looking to get an overtake done because he's on the softer tires compared to Scottish. And no team orders have been called yet, but they might come out right now. Yuri currently behind Scottish. And there he goes. Yuri does not seem to be lifting. Scottish does not seem to be lifting as Yuri goes past on his own speed. But Arkid currently just a second ahead as there's a yellow flag being waved. That's Divine Eye going off the track, leaving the drivers by pretty neatly. And that's Paddy. And Smith, look like Smith's out of the session. Unsure what happened there. We might see that right here. There's a lot of debris on the track, and there he is stood on the side of the track. There's a safety car being called. So Arkid can finally breathe a little bit as all these drivers are looking to go into the pits. Actually, we see Yuri go into the pits and Arkid as well. Yuri, the first one to go in. Scottish going right behind that as well. Looks like Dutchkey's going in as well. All of these drivers will be looking to go onto the soft tires. Tronzik on used softs will not make it to the end most likely. Will have a driver behind him. I'm unsure that might be Divine Eye actually in 17th place currently. We'll have Tintenfish behind him on a few laps softer. And then there's Yuri currently in 3rd place with new softs, as well as Arkid, Scottish and Touchkey looking to make this a very interesting battle for the final few laps. As you can see, Yuri has a 6-second time penalty, so that will go against him towards the end of the race. All of these drivers still going into the pits, looking to get a clean soft set on. Paddy actually on a medium set, might not have a soft set left, but it's chaos. It's absolute madness here for the final few laps of this race. Tronzik on used softs has that back marker, Divine Eye there as a small little buffer. Tintenfish having a little bit older softs, but then there's the back of Yuri, the pole sitter, with a massive lap there. Half a second. The only driver in the 1 minute 18s in the qualifying. Then we have Arkid, who just put on clean soft as well. He's currently going side by side with Yuri to close up that, as it looks like Divine Eye gets a lot of time penalties. 15 seconds for corner cutting. Unsure what happened there. It might have gone past, as he's ignoring the yellow flags, and he's past the safety car. They got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. And he's going into the pits, probably to retire from the race, which cleans up the space between P1 and P2. So there's no buffer anymore from Tronzik. There we go, Divine Eye retiring from the race. So there's no buffer anymore between P1 and P2, and Tronzik really has to look behind him, and it's a battle of the greats here. Look at that one stop from Tronzik and Tintenfish. They might not make it to the end. 5 laps old for Tronzik. They will be 11 laps old at the end. Is that 11? I cannot count. It's 12 laps old at the end for a 27 lap race. That will be deadly. He might make a mistake like we saw Yuri do as well into turn 1. His rear sliding around a tiny bit. But look at all these penalties collecting in the back of the grid. I say the back of the grid as it looks like the back of the grid, but it's only P7 through P11 and then P13 remix the driver there without any penalties. We have a small break here, as my voice is going to take a small break as well until the safety car comes in. So grab a little bit of water, grab some popcorn, because it's definitely going to be a show, and I'll see you all in a minute. The safety car will go for another lap around the circuit, as the drivers are still catching up, especially Remix being 17 seconds behind the front pack, and then Swanee trailing 10 seconds in last place. 15th currently of 15 drivers on the track. The battle up front is going to be very, very close. Yuri might even call to help Scottish, as he has a 6-second time penalty. There's going to be a lot of positions towards the end. Only 5 laps remaining after this lap. So if the safety car goes in this lap, that means we have 5 more laps of racing. It should be very close. A quick reminder to the tire compound. It's the top 6 all on softs. Then it's 1 medium from Paddy. And then 5 more cars on clean softs. All a little bit older mediums for Jaspars. And then 2 clean softs as well, as Swanee goes into the pits to get another set of clean softs. Won't have the time to push that all the way back into the back of the grid before the safety car goes in. These are the time penalties. Yuri 6 seconds, very, very bad for him. Shermanator 3 seconds compared to the 4 cars around him. Jaspar's 9 seconds there too. If we look at the positions gained and lost in this race, we see Tronzik starting 2nd, going in 1st. Now Tinterfish starting 5th, up into 3rd. Yuri from pole to 3rd place. Arkit staying in 4th. Scottish going down to 5th from 3rd. We see the safety cars in this lap, so we'll go racing. Touchkey up 4 positions. Sparrow up 9. Mihu up 6 as well. But it looks like Ferrari, we're getting a few more positions there. As I just brought a little snack there for after the race, because I won't be eating during the race. This is going to be so tight, so close between all of these drivers. Safety car will be in this lap, and we're looking at Tronzik, who's got the pace, he's got the hammer. You can see the final little bits of the Williams dashboard being built into the car as it's going to be built onto the wheel for the 2024 F1 season. Luckily, we still have the game until June to drive out. Tronzik has the hammer to drop. Doesn't do it just yet. Usually it's right around now. He keeps it for very, very long. When is he going? Still weaving. The drivers behind him getting really anxious, really close, all ready to drop it. And there he goes, drops everything, gets a great restart, but that's a good one from Yuri too. Tintenfish wasn't really awake at all. Looks to be eaten up there, going on the inside. Arkid also looking to do some damage there. Tintenfish still defending, Yuri not getting past, Jan getting past, but Tintenfish going on the off-road. Yuri gaining a position, Arkid gaining that position, Tintenfish dropping all the way back. The top three now consists of Tronzik, Yuri, Arkid, Scottish, Jan all the way up into 5th place as Tintenfish drops down one more final position. And Tronzik loses 2nd place. Or loses 1st place to Yuri. And gets pushed into 2nd place. Arkid now in 3rd. Also looking to gain something there. Touchkey up into 6th place into the Lesmo. It was a beautiful move there. We saw the finish of that. Unfortunately, not the entire move, but we'll most likely get that in the highlights. If there were any highlights, we see Sparrow going very slippery there on the exit. Might have some attackers from behind. Shermanator also looking to do some damage there. Looking to make a defensive move, actually. Spatty is also very close. But we look at the top 5 as Scottish within a few tenths of the top here. Arkid also in that slipstream. Yuri pulling away a little bit. Needs more time. Arkid going for the move up into the final corner. Side by side. Has the inside. But will he have the grip to go past and keep the position? Tronzik getting a really good exit there. And drops down another position as Scottish is passed as well. But there's the DRS that has not been activated yet. So it's all just slipstream. Tronzik looking on the inside there as well as Scottish is unable to go defensive. And Tronzik locking up a tiny bit. And missing out on that, losing the lead there, and in one lap from 1st place to 4th. Very unfortunate stuff there, but luckily for Touchkey, these drivers are all battling, so he's able to maybe make a move there. DRS not been enabled yet, so he will have to rely on pure slipstream there. Scottish following very, very closely, getting a bit unsettled there in the 2nd chicane. We'll have to wait a little bit for a longer straight to pull a move of any kind. But Touchkey is now in the DRS. It's now a DRS train all the way up until 10th position. So the top 10 all within slipstream. Paddy now looking for an attack into Ascari. Tintenfish the exact same onto Jan. Touchkey quickly breaks the DRS there and goes back in it. Very good exit there from the Ferrari driver. And now lap 3 after the safety car will be started. So we will get DRS on this lap, but only on sector 2. So not just yet, but look up front. Yuri has half a second gap. Arkid following very closely. Yuri needs way more time than this. He's got 6 seconds. Currently, he'd be dropped down really far as Tintenfish goes up the inside of Jan. Not going defensive from the AlphaTauri driver there. Breaking very deep and gaining the position. Jan trying to do the switchback, but forgot. There's a left turn there. And also Paddy looking to make a move 3 wide into turn 3. But Paddy not being able to make anything happen there as Jan has the inside line. Obviously a lot faster there. Tintenfish now looking for a dive up in the inside in the 2nd chicane. Doesn't quite get it. Loses some time there as it gets very squirrely, pushing Paddy up in the outside. And Shermanator is there to pick up these scraps down into 8th position. Paddy losing out where he was meant to gain a place. DRS now open for Arkid and Scottish, getting really close up to that P1 now. Top 3 now 1.5 seconds clear of Tronzik is just seemingly dropped behind out of nowhere. And top 3 pulling away now. Touchkey might be looking for something as he gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings and joins the pack behind him with all of those penalties as Shermanator crashes, gets out of the fight and now retires. Swanee also makes a mistake there. Yuri getting another 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. And the final corner gets pushed off here as well. Going defensive. Arkid going through. Scottish going through as well. Best not to fight your teammate here, mate. Yuri has to back off. Look at the tire difference. Tronzik. Those 4 extra laps were killing Tintenfish. Even those 2 laps there were absolutely demolishing the tires there. Tronzik dropping so far behind. But still has Tutski ahead. Needs to stay within 3 seconds of Tutski, within 9 seconds of Yuri to still get that podium position. And looks like he might just get that. Yuri going a bit deep into the second chicane, losing some time there, which will be very beneficial there from Tronzik. As Swanee now also retired from the session in the pit lane. Tronzik looking to get some attack. Those 3 and 9 second time penalties are saving his race here. Tintafish getting a 3 second time penalty also for multiple warnings. So these track limits are very strict here. We see Scottish almost claiming another penalty there. Or claiming his first penalty there. Through the Ascari chicane. Yuri still on the attack. Does not let go. Even with that 9 second time penalty. He might be looking to do something. Scottish looking on the inside as we're entering the final lap with Arkid leading the race. The winner of the previous race in Austin now has to defend from 2 Haas drivers right behind him. Both with DRS. Scottish on the inside of Arkid. Arkid not going defensive. Knows that he doesn't have anything to do with this battle. Tronzik going up into 4th as Tutski loses almost 2 positions as Jan is on the inside there. Tutski gets pushed wide, but still keeps the position there. Arkid still in 2nd place. Yuri has that penalty, but can still do something for his teammate to maybe increase that gap. But Arkid pushing past, getting a very good comeback there into the 2nd chicane. Scottish having to follow behind. A little bit squirrely from both of the Haas drivers there. Arkid into the Lesmos. Will still lead this race, and it's very difficult from this point forward to overtake Scottish. The only thing that can save him right now is a push from Yuri behind, which will definitely not happen because that might result in a crash. Yuri still going on the offensive. Scottish looking on the inside, doesn't have the speed for it. Looking to make something happen into the final corner, but don't think that will be able to do. Arkid trying to break the toe, weaving there on the straight, stuck on the inside now until it goes back to the racing line, which he does very neatly. Scottish looking, but does not have it. Arkid needs to keep it safe through the final corner. No mistakes now as we see Yuri spinning off and hitting the wall, DNFing on the final corner as Arkid goes across the line, wins the race. Scottish with 2 tenths behind. Tronzik in 3rd, Tutski picking up 4th place, Jan in 5th, Remix jumping up to 6th, Tintenfish 7th, Paddy in 8th, Mariel's 9th, Mihu in 10th, Sparrow in 11th, and Jaspar's picking up 12th place at the end, and Arkid winning 2 races in a row, and Yuri, unfortunately, our pole sitter, DNFing on the final corner on the final lap. Voices the fact that he's unhappy in the driver's chat already, saying he's very disappointed with that move, that's for sure. And a fantastic final few laps as Arkid wins the 2nd race of the season, imitating his best Max Verstappen, as it's an all-British podium here, with Arkid in 1st, Scottish in 2nd, and Tronzik in 3rd place. Williams picking up some great points, Tutski as well picking up good points for Ferrari, whereas McLaren lagging behind just a tiny bit. So I believe that Ferrari will take the position of McLaren in the championship standings, and Williams pulling away a little bit further with this fantastic win. Here we see it, just the tiniest bit of difference here. Arkid being 1st place after starting 4th, Scottish from 3rd to 2nd, Tronzik from 2nd to 3rd, unfortunately for him. Tutski going all the way up to 4th, even with that 3 second time penalty, he still had a little bit of time to spare. Jan getting 5th place after starting 8th. A very good result there. Marios and Miu actually performing way better than their qualifying positions, finishing 9th and 10th from 12th and 17th respectively. Sparrow going up to 11th from 19th, Jasper to 12th from 18th, and of course our 5 DNFs here at the end of the race. With that being said, Arkid winning out his 2nd race on the 2nd race of the season. That being said, my name is Olaf, aka Wobbs Racing. You can find me on wobbsracing.com, and I will see you all next week.